Dr. S.I.F. Philomen Raj, MSc, MPhil PhD, retired Head Department of Physics, Madras Christian College, Tambaram, Chennai. He is presently serving as a guest lecturer in Loyola College, Nungambakkam, Chennai. He has a teaching experience of 35 years in Madras Christian College for UG and PG students. His field of research is nuclear physics, and he has presented about 30 papers in symposia organized by Baba Atomic Research Center, Mumbai. He has guided 50 MPhil students and about 100 MSc students in their projects. He has authored practical physics books for MSc and BSc courses. He is presently engaged in writing a book on nuclear physics for Printers Hall, India.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in physics. We shall continue with the nuclear and particle physics. Last class we have been discussing about the fission process, and we just started with the fusion, and now we will continue with more details in the fusion process. For this class we will be discussing fusion and thermonuclear reactions. That we will be discussing about what is the source of energy in sun and other stars. And we have got a scattering problem in one dimension, that is quantum mechanical tunneling. So we will just continue with the fusion. So the fusion is combination of two light nuclei into one. Already you remember the energy level diagram. The intermediate mass nuclei will be having more stability, and the light nuclei will have less stability, and also heavy nuclei will have less stability. Therefore, heavy nuclei will undergo fission, thereby the byproducts will be in the intermediate mass region, thereby the binding energy increases. Similarly, in the fusion, light nuclei, they have got a small binding energy per nucleon. When they fuse together, they climb up the binding energy curve, and you will get a resulting nucleus which will be more energetic or more stable with a greater binding energy. So, we need not go back to the diagram. We will be able to understand from the binding energy, experimental binding energy curve, which we have been discussing for the fission case also. Now here, so the fusion is combination of two light nuclei. For example, we have got hydrogen, and hydrogen will combine together and we get helium forming, and helium will combine together and we get iron nuclei. So thereby the binding energy goes on increasing. And what is the energy released in this? Energy released is due to change in binding energy. Due to a change in binding energy, there is energy release. The resulting nuclei will be having greater binding energy. So here the fusion energy will be about 25 MeV. If you remember, in the case of fission, per fission was about 200 MeV, but for fusion it is about 25 MeV. But here it is only light nuclei, and therefore we will have more number of nuclei available for a given. If we take maybe 1 kilogram of the substance, it will have more number of fusion occurring because it is a light nuclei. Energy is involved with the light nuclei. Now for the fusion to occur, for example, the hydrogen and hydrogen will have to combine together, they fuse, but in order to fuse there is Coulomb repulsion. Hydrogen has got one proton, this hydrogen has got one proton, they have to overcome the Coulomb repulsion and then join. Therefore, it becomes the kinetic energy must be greater than the potential energy of repulsion. So, they must be able to move faster, greater kinetic energy, and then only they can fuse. The kinetic energy, we know that it is half mv squared. Kinetic energy is half mv squared, where m is mass of if we take hydrogen fusion, it is mass of hydrogen, and v is the velocity with which the hydrogen will come closer to each other, velocity. And 1 degree of freedom, the energy is half kT, where k is Boltzmann constant and T is the absolute temperature. So now it has got, if you take hydrogen, one atom if you take, it has got 3 degrees of freedom. So it will be 3 by 2 kT. So the kinetic energy is half mv squared equal to 3 by 2 kT. So the velocity is decided by the temperature. When the velocity temperature increases, velocity will increase. Therefore, we have to have a higher temperature. Now if you calculate, if you know the mass of hydrogen, if you calculate the room temperature, Boltzmann constant, you know, if you calculate the velocity, it will not be sufficient to join. So at room temperature, velocity is insufficient. if we calculate numerically, if we calculate, it will become insufficient. It will not be equal, velocity will be small. Therefore, for fusion, about 10 power 6 Kelvin to 10 power 7 Kelvin is required in order to make the velocity sufficient so that they will join together. So, that is the situation for fusion. You require high temperature, and the fusion reaction, this is hydrogen, isotope of hydrogen, and another isotope of hydrogen. This is mass number 2, this is mass number 3, and then they join together, we get helium-24 plus 1 neutron. You just see the equation, the atomic number 2 and then mass number 5, we get 1 neutron here, neutron is chargeless, so the equation is valid, and we get energy released Q. Now, this is the energy, source of energy in the sun and other stars. High temperature is involved, we call it as thermonuclear fusion reaction. So, thermonuclear fusion is the source of energy in the sun and all other stars. So, there hydrogen fusion is taking place with the large temperature, very high temperature, sun's temperature. At that temperature, the velocity is sufficient for fusion to occur. At this high temperature, ionized molecules, we get ionized molecules. See, we get gas. So, I got the states of matter. First is solid, then liquid, then we get gas, that is third state, gas, normal gas. Now, if that gas is ionized, it is called plasma. So, it will be at high temperature, it will be ionized. So, the plasma is the fourth state of matter. Now, at 20 million degree Kelvin temperature, if we calculate, the kinetic energy is 0.1 MeV, which is sufficient to overcome the Coulomb repulsion, and therefore, fusion takes place. So, the fusion can take place only at very high temperature. So, we have got the stellar thermonuclear reactions. We get hydrogen, 4 hydrogen plus helium plus two positron is evolved, and then we get Q, the energy released Q is 27 MeV. And here we get one helium and then helium, and it becomes helium-24, and two protons are emitted, 27 MeV. This is the energy released in one fusion. Now, here such a energy is released in sun and other stars. So, we are not able to produce fusion reactor. We have got fission reactor. Fusion reactor is yet to be realized because of the high temperature involved, and therefore, you can't have any container which can withhold this high, or any container which can withstand this very high temperature, about 20 million degree centigrade or Kelvin. So, that is the background for fusion, and once the fusion in we are able to produce fusion in lab, controlled fusion in lab, then there will be a very good source of energy for the whole world. Now, we will go to a different problem, scattering problem in one dimension. So, here we are just what we are going to discuss is the particle, for example, neutron, if we take the particle behaves as a wave, that is due to de Broglie hypothesis. We know any particle can behave as a wave, and a wave can behave as a particle, dual nature. So, here the whole quantum mechanics is based on treating particle as a wave. So, the particle is treated as a wave. Now, the scattering in one, we are going to consider scattering in one dimension. If we take neutron, it can go in all direction, then it becomes 3-dimensional. Now, here we are considering neutron moving in one dimension. So, it is a one dimension problem we are considering, and we are talking about finite potential step. We are considering one potential. So, this is here it is 0, and there is a potential at V equal to V0. Here it is, there is a potential step. So, when you physically, here the potential is 0, here the potential is V0. Region 1 has got potential 0, region 2 potential V0. So, we call it as V0 is the height of the potential barrier, and E is the energy of the particle in region 1. So, we are considering, for example, neutron, it is in this region. Now, if it is a particle, it cannot come to this region at all, it will get only reflected, but because it is a wave, it can penetrate. That is what we are going to see now. It can penetrate because we are treating the neutron as a wave. So energy E is the energy of the particle. Now we will just go further. Classically, if E equal to less than V naught, that is the energy of the particle is less than the height of the barrier, then it can only get reflected. So that is what we just see, it can only get reflected in this region. Here it can get reflected here, it can never pass through. That is classical, that is the classical picture. So there is no transmission to region 2. Transmission to region 2 is not possible classically. Quantum mechanically, when you say quantum mechanically, it means the particle is considered as a wave. Neutron is not a particle, it can be considered as a wave according to de Broglie hypothesis. Here also E less than V0. So even if E is less than V0, both reflection and transmission can take place. That is it. Because just we come back, just see the optics. Suppose you take optic, we get a light wave. The light wave gets reflected and it can pass through also. If it is a translucent material, if it is a perfect opaque body, it will get reflected, the light wave. Otherwise, part of it can enter. Even if you take a paper, part of it will enter. Therefore, if you take neutron as a wave, it has to, like as we have light passing through an object, this can also pass through. That is the concept here. And we will find at the end, we will find that it is possible for the neutron to penetrate. It is called barrier penetration. Now, quantum mechanically both will take place. Now, how will you consider the transmission and reflection? So, first we will take a Schrodinger equation, differential equation, and we will solve that. So, this is psi is the wave function, d squared psi by dx squared, we get this equation. Here m is mass of the particle. Here if we consider neutron, that is the particle, and E is the energy of the particle, and V is the potential barrier, which is larger than this. V is greater than E. So, in region 1, we have got V equal to 0. This one, region 1 V equal to 0, region 2 V equal to V naught. That you remember, we will just go back here. Therefore, that Schrodinger equation reduces to this, V equal to 0. And we get this part we write as alpha square, where we take this into this part as alpha square, right here. For this equation, the general solution will be this one. We have already written alpha. So, the first term is incident wave. See, we get e power plus quantity, here e power minus quantity. So, it is an incident wave, and here the second term is the reflected wave. Now, in region 2, that is V equal to V naught, you remember the diagram, there we will write as V equal to V naught, therefore, I will write V0 minus E, and here this part is written as gamma squared. So, we will come back to this alpha and gamma. Here the general solution will be for the differential equation, this is the general solution, e power plus gamma x, e power minus gamma x. Now, the psi 2 is the amplitude of the matter wave, this one we are talking about in region 2. First term implies increase in amplitude. See, the first term implies there is increase in amplitude because e power plus some quantity. The first term implies increase in amplitude, which is not physical. We have got a light, source intensity is something, as it passes through a material, it has to decrease, it cannot increase, it has to decrease, that is physical. Therefore, C has to be 0, this part cannot be physical. Therefore, I write psi 2 is equal to this part alone, second term alone. So, this will represent damped vibration, like the oscillations will go on dying as we pass through the material, damped vibration. Psi falls exponentially, it has to reduce exponentially in region 2. Here we have written A, B, D are constants. So, how do you determine the constants here? See, at the boundary, the wave function and its derivative must be continuous. So, you have got a wave function, that is the amplitude of the wave, it cannot abruptly change. So, it has to gently change only. And also the derivative, when you say derivative, if suppose if it is having a positive slope, it should continue to have positive slope. If it is having a negative slope, it should continue to have negative slope. It can't suddenly change. Therefore, at the boundary, what is the boundary between region 1 and 2? it must be continuous. So, psi 1 equal to psi 2 at x 0. Therefore, from equation 1 and 2 we see I will be getting a plus b equal to d, and the second part is derivative. So, I take d by dx of psi 1, d by dx of psi 2 at a, both must be equal. Therefore, it is only a mathematical, the two equations we wrote, from that we get these equations, and we are able to get an expression for b in terms of a. So, we are getting relation between b and a. Generally, we have got only the constants. Generally, energy density is proportional to amplitude squared. We have to take like wave function squared. We will just understand that we are just taking a classical picture. Suppose I consider sound wave in air, and what is the energy? Energy of the sound wave. Sound wave in air, therefore, it is m is the mass of the air molecule, one air molecule, and v is the velocity of vibration, that molecule will vibrate. So, when you are talking loudly, mass is same. When you are talking loudly, the velocity will be larger. When you are talking softly, the velocity will be small. And velocity, because it is oscillating, we can write the linear velocity and angular velocity, v equal to r omega. So, I can write as r squared omega squared. So, what we observe here is the energy is proportional to r squared, amplitude squared, that is natural. So, when you are talking loudly, amplitude is larger. So, the energy is not proportional to amplitude, but amplitude squared. Energy is proportional to amplitude squared. So, E is proportional to r squared. Therefore, what you need to have is, instead of b, I have to get b squared, because b is proportional to the constant b is proportional to wave function psi. So, instead of taking psi squared, I can take b squared or a squared, depending on which region 1, region 2, incident, all that. So, the wave function psi is the amplitude of matter wave. So, I can directly say modulus psi squared is the particle density. I can also write as psi star, which is also particle density. What is psi star? It is complex conjugate, or I can just take modulus squared equal to particle density. So, now you understand we have to get b squared and a squared. First we wrote a equal to b, but here writing b squared equal to a squared. A squared corresponds to incident wave, b squared corresponds to reflected wave. Then from 6, all particles get reflected at a barrier. So, here we got a barrier like a wall. So, all particles will get reflected. Therefore, from 4, so from 4 we get this part. So, here we are getting relation between d and a, and we need to have square. So, d squared will be this one. So, what we observe is, so the attractive potential causes reflection at the barrier. Now, this nuclear potential is a square wave potential, as we said now. Origin is the nuclear center and A is the nuclear radius. So, as a charged particle emerges out of the nucleus, we get this potential. See here, this one. As it emerges out, it will have repulsion. This is the Coulomb repulsion. This is nuclear attraction. So, for an alpha particle, suppose an alpha particle emerges out of a nucleus, it will experience both attractive and repulsive. When it is inside, the alpha particle is inside the parent, it is attractive. When it comes out of the parent, it is repulsive. We have just discussed about fusion and source of energy in sun, and this part fusion is for fusion of two light nuclei we have discussed, and the source of energy here we get in sun we have written, but if you take for other stars which are hotter than sun, then we have got a different cycle. It is called, we have got two cycles, proton-proton cycle and the other one is carbon cycle. So, there we get carbon nitrogen cycle. So, you got two different cycles and thermonuclear reactions which are responsible for sun and other stars. And this scattering problem we have just discussed is based on the assumption that a particle can behave as a wave and it causes reflection. And here theoretically this alpha particle will experience and there is a probability of tunneling. This was worked out by Gamow. This concept quantum mechanical penetration was worked out by Gamow, and we have got the famous Gamow's theory of alpha decay, and that is the first verification of quantum mechanical tunneling. So far up to this it was only theoretical, and Gamow applied this concept for alpha emission and he got the experimental half-life in agreement with the theoretical half-life in agreement with the experimental half-lives, and therefore that was in 1928, and Gamow got Nobel Prize for that. And therefore, this particular scattering problem as a wave, the theoretical one has been experimentally verified. And also in electronics we have got what is called gun diode, tunnel diode, which is based on this concept. And we have got many other new nanotechnology devices which are based on this concept. So, what we have found here is a scattering problem in one dimension shows that there is non-zero probability of tunneling. Why we are considered one dimension? Because it is symmetric. In one dimension we take, that is what we have found out. Suppose you take 3 dimension also, there is a probability that everywhere whether the neutron goes in this direction or in this direction or in this direction, same thing should happen. So, we are considering just one direction. So, for a neutron which is alpha particle which is inside, it can come out in this direction or come out in this direction. We have considered one direction. So, it is one dimensional if we take, or if we take if it is moving in any other all possible directions, then we get 3 dimensional. So, the effect, the result is going to be same. Now, we will just pose few questions for this class. So, we will calculate the temperature, we can calculate the temperature required to overcome Coulomb repulsion for nuclear fusion. So, here we have just generally specified, we have got nuclear fusion reactions written. So, what you can do is, you can assume hydrogen plus hydrogen becoming helium, the exact equation is right. Then we know what is the repulsive force between two hydrogen atom. What is the repulsive force? The Coulomb repulsion will be Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon 0 R, Coulomb repulsion. That must be equal to half mv square, the velocity, we can calculate the velocity, and that half mv square equal to 3 by 2 kT. So, you can calculate the temperature. So, from this Coulomb you can calculate the temperature, and therefore, we can find out what temperature is required to get that particular velocity and to get that particular temperature, velocity for that particular Coulomb to overcome the Coulomb repulsion. Now, again this is also a problem. Show that the energy released in fusion is about 27 MeV using mass formula. So, you can either use the mass formula, Weizsäcker mass formula, or we have got mass data table. So, we can just consider all the masses and then a particular reaction, hydrogen alpha, we have got hydrogen plus hydrogen becoming helium. So, you can just take what is the mass of this, mass of that, difference in mass, and if the mass is one atomic mass unit corresponds to 931 MeV. So, we have to just see how much of atomic mass unit is decreasing, there will be decrease. So, you can calculate. So, based on that you can calculate, and all of them will be having about 25 to 27 MeV. Now, again this one is a theoretical one. Using Schrodinger equations show that there is a probability of tunneling. So, only when the potential is infinitely high, probability be 0, infinite potential well, otherwise there is always probability of tunneling. So, with this we are just closing this, and the next class we will be discussing about the different models, the nuclear models or the theory. In our scope, we have got the liquid drop model and the shell model. So, we will go into detail in the next class. Thank you.